Well, I'm sure what I say will not be of the quality of the speakers you've heard before, because it will be simple and it will be from my heart. I read the bio, and I very flippantly remarked it was a little bit like reading my obituary while I was still here. But as I read it, I thought, yeah, you really have done a lot. But the things I've done, I didn't always do willingly. I sort of fell into a lot of it. First of all, I was born to parents who were people of integrity and faith, good, kind, generous people. I was very fortunate to meet my husband, Bill, because he too came from a family with a solid faith background. He was giving, he was fun, he never met a stranger. He would have welcomed anyone, anytime, and done anything. In fact, he moved many a person in the rainstorms. We've hauled furniture, we've done everything imaginable, and he enjoyed every moment of it. But I looked at my, and I have to tell you, I have 2 wonderful daughters and great son-in-laws and 4 grandchildren, and 2 of them are married, and one of them has given me something to smile about every time I see him, is 2 little great-grandchildren. So I'm truly blessed. But I wanted to take just a few minutes and go over that bio. To tell you, the first thing it says was I was a 4-H leader for 12 years, and that's true. But never because I wanted to, because my girl, my oldest daughter, was in 4-H, and they said the club is too big, we have to break it down. You and your neighbor could have a club, and we started with 8 girls, and before you know it, we had 25 girls, and we said we can't take any more. They were girls from 8 to 18, they learned public speaking, they learned demonstrations, and what is remarkable in this day and age is we met 25 girls and 2 leaders in people's homes, and I swear we never ever had a problem. And as I look back, I think, where did we go with 27 people in someone's living room? But it happened. And then, when I think of my work as on the United Christian Foundation at the Religious Center, that too came by accident. I was asked by someone from the conference of our church, would you do that? I said no, and he called 2 or 3 times, and finally I said yes. And one of the programs that was the most worthwhile in my eyes then was a single parent support group, because I came from a very secure family, and to see these young people with children working very hard to make ends meet and make a life for their children by getting a degree was an inspiration to me. The home extension and the extension programs gave me an opportunity to gain in knowledge. My church work at Eden has given me a family of faith. Yeah, I've served as a church school teacher. I've been head of the women's group. I've served on our council and learned about the business end. But most of all, I have gained friends. I have gained support. I have gained another family. I'm trying to think what it all says on there, but I want to speak mostly to the 2 things that are at the end when it talks about the host family program. I don't know, some of you at the university will remember Reba Klinke, and she called me over and over and over again saying, host a student, and I had a gazillion excuses. No, I can't, I won't, I can't. Finally, she caught me when I was just done with one responsibility at church, and the only responsibility I had was 2 more years as a 4-H leader. And I said yes, and she assigned me 1 Pakistani student. We went to the airport to get him, and from then on my life changed, because I'm a typical Midwesterner. The extent of my travels has been in this country and a couple of times to Canada. And suddenly, I was meeting people with a different culture, from a different type of government, from a different type of religion, and wondering how do you bridge all these gaps in your understanding of each other. And it was just a matter of 3 or 4 months when the international office called and says, you know, we have Pakistanis here who don't have a host family. There's 13 more. we're going to give you those names. And I struggled learning those names, and I would had them on a slip of paper, and I would go to bed at night when I going through these names, and if I missed two, I'd get up and look, who am I missing? And when we finally met the group at a picnic, my husband goes over to one of the young men and says, I have a very strange wife. The rest of the world counts sheep when they can't sleep, but not my wife. She's counting Pakistanis. I have to tell you, though, I haven't hosted only students from Pakistan. I've had students from India and China, Taiwan, Kenya, Iran, Turkey, Germany, France, Norway, from all over the world. And each and every one has brought joy to my life, and I'm glad. Tonight in our community is also a big group of married Pakistanis and their wives and little children that are having a dinner. And I had already committed to be here, but I talked to a couple of the former students to come and give me a little moral support. I've learned about arranged marriages. I've learned about military governments. I've learned about military coups. I've learned what it means to be a Muslim, a Hindu, a Zoroastrian. In fact, I didn't know there was such a thing, but I've learned that. I've learned that it doesn't really matter where you come from. When you get to know someone, we all want the same thing. We want to be able to raise our family in security, to have an education, to have shelter and food, to be free to worship the way we want to. And that, if anything, the program has taught me, it's that if you open your heart and open your mind, you can build a bridge of understanding between all kinds of people. And as to writing for that paper, it's a joy for me because I like to do that. It's fun for me. I'm not a theologian. I don't know all that stuff. I know my faith. I go to Bible study. I attend church faithfully every Sunday. But I wanted to write, and I talked to a pastor, and he said, why don't you go to the paper and take an article in there? So many years ago, I trotted in there, and the editor looked at me like I really had slipped a couple of cogs or something. But anyhow, he said, I'll take it, and we will run a couple and see what happens. Well, it went pretty well, and before long, he said, well, we can't offer any pay, and you don't have a degree in journalism, but go ahead, keep trying. And then for several years, one of the pastors in the church, another church, and I alternated, and then he moved, and I found myself doing it every week. And I can write about what I believe, but mostly I try to write about what I think is asked of each of us. I use my children, I've used my grandchildren, my great-grandchildren. I've used excerpts from books that I've read. When something catches my imagination, I have all little scraps of paper laying by my computer. And I can sit down and write, and hopefully I can challenge people to open their hearts and to open their minds. And most of all, regardless of what your faith is, don't just talk about it, live it. And then maybe the world would be a little gentler place, because right now it's not very gentle in my estimation. And I guess when I was little, we used to sing a song that says, bright in the corner where you are. And I think that's all I've tried to do. And I appreciate it, and I am humbled, and I thank you very much.
I have a very academic reaction to that. Wow.